Welcome to a really pointless video. Today we happen to have a whole bunch of white colored animals in it. Nah. Don't go near the bearded dragon. We currently happen to have a ton of white animals in right now, so I decided to film a video just going through each one and showing off these gorgeous white, bright colored animals. Because that's not something you see a ton in reptiles. I'm Ethan, and you're watching Radiant Reptilia. Before we dive into this video, I just wanted to real quick plug the Radiant Reptilia Instagram, @RadiantReptilia. I noticed that the demographics on Instagram are very different from the YouTube demographics. So if you like the YouTube videos and would like some more daily reptile content, Instagram's definitely a place. I try to post every single day. I'm also really trying to ramp up the diversity of the stuff I post on Instagram. For quite a while, it was almost strictly stuff that was going to be available or stuff that was already available up on the site. But I've realized that's only a small portion of the reptile-related activities that I actually do. So I'm really trying to mix it up. I'm posting some photos of my personal pets. I'm posting lots of photos of wildlife photography and animals I find when I'm out herping. So yeah, if you are a subscriber to the channel and want to see more content, @Radiant Reptilia on Instagram is the place to go. So we can go ahead and start off our examination of the white reptiles with this little nerd. This is a super fire ball python. One of the things that I think is really cool about all the animals we're looking at today is that none of them are pure white. They all have little accents to them and little features that kind of add some character and some real attractiveness to these guys. The super fireball python, this guy has got little yellow patches down his back at seemingly randomized location, which is pretty cool. It's a very, very light yellow. You can almost barely see it unless you're looking for it. It's kind of like a popcorn butter yellow or something. It's really, really pretty. And then of course he's got those gorgeous, gorgeous dark black eyes, which are really, really stunning. As you can see, this animal is still pretty small. He's under a year old. This is a July 2019 animal. He's been a fantastic eater so far. He's already on adult mice, which is pretty great. And he's just doing really phenomenal. Because of the reptile people that I surround myself with, most of my friends tend to be very naturalistic keepers and to be pretty strict as far as that. And with that, they also tend to be pretty anti-morph. I'm pretty naturalistic when it comes to how I keep my animals, but I will say I do love a nice ball python morph, and this is definitely one of those. As far as this little squirt's temperament, he's like exactly what I'm looking for in a ball python. He's not too shy, where he just curls up in a ball and never moves when you pull him out. He's not aggressive or anything, never even looks like he wants to S-neck or strike at me. And he's not like too crazy. Sometimes there's snakes that are really nice, but they're just like always going all over the place and, you know, driving around like crazy. He just wants to hang out. He's a pretty great little snake. Can't wait for him to find his new home. Moving on to our next pearly little critter, we have this guy. This is the Diablo Blanco leopard gecko. I've had this guy in for quite a while now. He had a small feature in the reptile room video, and he's still like one of the nicest leopard geckos that we have in. You can see he's just a super chill guy, really doesn't mind being handled. The poor guy really hates these bright video lights, but I promise when he's not under these lights, he's not like squinty and super crazy like he is right now. Shooting the web photographs for this guy to put him up on the website was also pretty difficult because again, he didn't like the photo lights. So I'm trying to shoot and he's just like squinting and like looking like he's dead. I'm like, no, you don't look like that when you don't have these lights on you. And it was pretty funny. Again, this is called the Diablo Blanco leopard gecko. That directly translates to white devil, which is pretty cool. I think they got that name because the animal is a pure white animal, but then it's got the black eyes, just like the super fire that we looked at a little bit ago. Beyond that, his white isn't quite as pure as the white in the super fire. It's almost got a slight pinkish tinge to it, which is pretty. That comes from, again, one of the morphs that goes into making this. There's 3 different ones, I think. I'm not going to go into all of them because I don't want to make this too nerdy of a video. So all you need to know is that he is a pretty complex morph as far as leopard gecko morphs go. So that's pretty cool. This guy's always had such a beefy, gorgeous tail. Really, really healthy looking. He is a 2018 leopard gecko, so I wouldn't be surprised if he kept on getting bigger. He already is a pretty decent size for a gecko. I mentioned how chill and friendly this guy was, and I feel like I say that about like all the animals sometimes. But this guy is probably the chillest leopard gecko I've ever had a chance to work with. Whenever I'm at an expo or an educational event or something, this is one that I'll often bring along. Even though he's a top dollar morph, he is just super friendly, and I know that really if people work with an animal that's friendly, they're gonna not freak out as much and be a lot more comfortable coming up and interacting with him. So this guy's always definitely one of my top choices, at least for as long as he is here with me. So yeah, there's our gorgeous little Diablo Blanco leopard gecko. This guy's fired up. This guy's usually a really nice little dragon, but right now he's angry. I think putting him on the table with the other animals got him all riled up. Wasn't a huge fan of that. wanna bite me? Well, that wasn't bad. I thought you had more in you. I know, it's because you're a sweet girl at heart. You're just angry and upset, isn't that right? Yeah. So I know this is probably pushing the label of the white animals a little bit. You're saying, Ethan, that's clearly a light gray animal, it's not white. But this is the zero bearded dragon, and she still has a really, really white face and a white underbelly. The zero bearded dragon is actually typically a little bit brighter white than this individual is. She's a little bit grayer than most, and also her color can change depending on her temperament. And as I said, she's a little bit fired up right now, so she might actually be a little bit darker than usual. It's sometimes hard for me to pick up on those minute differences, being colorblind. But I think she is a little bit darker than she typically is. Regardless, I've never had such a light-colored bearded dragon in, so I'm just going to say that she qualifies for the video, and it's all going to be okay, because she's really cool, and I want to show her off. So she is also a 2019 animal. I think she hatched in May of 2019, so she's a little bit older than the super fire ball python, but by no means close to full grown. I think right now she's clocking in at like 13 inches, which I've seen some adult bearded dragons that are 13 inches, but she clearly just does not have the body of an adult yet. So I think she's going to keep on growing, and she might be a pretty big individual when she's all said and done. I wouldn't be surprised if she was between 16 and 18 inches. She could get pretty massive considering that she's still pretty young and already this big. It's really funny when she tries to be mad and make her beard black. Like a normal bearded dragon can make its beard really, really dark black. But when she tries, it just gets like a little bit gray, like, you know, maybe a little bit, looks like a little bit singed or something, but it doesn't look like the stark black that you see in other bearded dragons, which I always think is funny. To my knowledge, Xeromorph is essentially like a leucistic. It gets rid of a lot of the pigmentation, but again, in this case, she is a little bit gray on the back, so it's not as completely pure as like a blue-eyed leucistic and ball pythons or anything. We have a thing with like yellow accents today because she also has like one yellow freckle right kind of at the base of her neck, which is really kind of cool looking. I think that's an indication of something genetic, of some other gene or something, but I'm not familiar enough with bearded dragons, and I don't have a pedigree for me to actually pin it down on something. But if you have an idea about what that means, feel free to leave a comment down in the description. Regardless of whether it's an indication of anything genetic, it's cool that there's a pretty little spot back there. I think it's pretty interesting. You are just angry. You want to sit on the table? Is that better? Yeah, just chill there. Just chill. So I'm colorblind, so I can't say this with any certainty, but I don't think her eyes are actually a different color than a typical bearded dragon's eyes. I think they're still the same amber, which is interesting. She might be the only white animal today that doesn't have different colored eyes than a wild type of their species, so that's interesting. Anyways, that's our little zero bearded dragon, who's definitely pushing the definition of a white herp, but I'm just going to let her count just for today. And then we can go on to the last little animal today, which was that corn snake. I saved this guy for last because I think he is my favorite. As time goes on, I'm becoming more and more partial to colubrids, and this is a white corn snake, which is pretty cool to see. So I've been really enjoying him quite a bit. This is a motley snow corn snake, or a snow motley corn snake. I don't think the order matters there too much. Again, just like with the Diablo Blanco leopard gecko, we need some pretty heavy-handed genetic terminology to really understand what's going on in this guy's coloration. But basically, all you need to know is that there's no red pigment, there's no black pigment, and there's pattern reduction. Since the most prominent pigments in corn snakes are red and black, when you take them away, you're almost left with a completely patternless corn snake. Now, there is one other pigment that sticks around, and that's yellow. Again, we have a theme with the yellows today. This corn snake has beautiful yellow striping that go from the tip of her nose all the way down her ventrolateral area, all the way down to her tail, really. So that's really, really cool to look at. I mean, it looks so fake. It looks like someone took a yellow highlighter and just dragged it down the edge of this animal. It's really, really cool looking. I get the attraction that people get to like pure white animals, but I think it's always cool when they have a little bit of an accent or something to add a little bit to their appearance. I think that's always a little bit better, and this corn snake definitely has it. He's just been a ton of fun. This guy's also a really, really fantastic eater. He had his first meal with me literally the first day he came home. Usually snakes take a little while to adjust to their new environment, but not this guy. He was ready to eat as soon as I brought him home, which was always cool to see. Let me see if I have the birth date on this guy. Yes. Okay, yeah, so this is a October of 2018. I actually also have this guy's brother, who is a reverse Okiti corn snake, so that's pretty cool. They both came from somebody who was just needing to rehome their whole collection because they were going to college. In fact, I think every single herp that we went over today came from people that needed to rehome their animals because just of like life circumstances. The Diablo Blanco leopard gecko came from someone who's moving to Virginia to be a firefighter and he couldn't take his reptiles with him. The bearded dragon came from somebody who was having a kid, and so she didn't want to keep her animals with her anymore. And then the super fire ball python came from somebody who was moving into an apartment that had a no pets policy. I think he was going to try to sneak a couple in there, but that was only his like top favorites, so he needed to rehome the majority of his collection, and that's where I got that guy. So I think that pretty much sums up our conversation on these really pretty, gorgeous white animals. This was a pretty fun video to make just because, you know, all the white animals are just a lot of fun. They're really gorgeous, and I like their accents, and all the animals are pretty nice, even though the beardy was in a bit of a mood today. So yeah, this was kind of a fun little video, a little bit different than what I usually do. But I'm glad I did it. It was kind of fun. I also wanted to take a few minutes just to respond to some of the quote-unquote controversy surrounding my channel and my videos. Alex Go Herping, he had a video that he released around Christmas time that was about the business that him and I used to run together. And ever since then, I've been getting kind of sporadic accusations and criticisms. People are accusing me of stealing and embezzling and ruining the business that we had together and betraying my friend and all kinds of these kind of outlandish claims. And I just wanted to put all the rumors to rest. Epstein didn't kill himself. In all seriousness, though, I think Alex's video did a pretty good job of outlining kind of what our relationship was like during the business, and I don't have any major qualms with any of the information he said. I think all the information that he said is fairly accurate. However, there are a few quick things I want to add. He mentioned in that video that I had made some purchases on a business card, and there wasn't a ton of context applied to that, so people just assumed that I was just like stealing money, I guess, which is kind of silly because I think he would have been more direct if that was the case. I was having some serious car issues at that time. My car was literally undrivable, and if anyone's running business, you know it's virtually impossible to do anything business related if your car is undrivable. So I needed to do something about that. And we had been talking about doing a payout for a while. Usually we'd just do a couple $100. It was typically around 500. We would do it every couple months, maybe twice a year or something, often after a big Repticon or a big expo when we had a lot of cash in the bank account. And this was just a few weeks after a Repticon. We had been talking about doing a payout. We never really got around to it. I had the sudden car issue come up, and I'm like, oh, this will work perfectly. So when I had looked at it a couple of days before, the account had somewhere a little bit over $1,000 in it. It cost a couple $100 to make my car drivable again, so I went and got that taken care of. And at the same time, I directly PayPal'd Alex from that business account the exact same amount of dollars that I actually spent fixing up my car. So it's not like I was just taking, you know, that dollars for myself and, you know, not telling anyone about it. You know, I was divvying it out evenly. It is true that we were extremely low on cash at that time. We had just hired our first employee, so that was starting to drain out a good chunk of money each week. So it wasn't really the best time for any of that to happen, but again, I didn't choose, you know, when my car decides to break down. It just happens sometimes, and, you know, if I hadn't gotten it fixed, I certainly wouldn't have been able to do anything towards the business. I wouldn't have been able to bring animals to be shipped off. I wouldn't have been able to go meet with Alex, just do business stuff. So it was one of those things where it just didn't work out well. The timing was bad, and it definitely could have been timed a lot better, but there wasn't really anything anyone could do about it. It's just kind of how that played out. So that's my take on that specific incident. Again, I agree with everything he said, but I think there were some interesting details I needed to add in there. The fact that I paid him the exact same amount, and also the fact that we had been planning on doing this payout for a little bit now, and again, none of that was going into my pocket, right? That was just to get my car, so it was functioning again. It was a necessity payment for sure. But that incident was not what caused our business relationship to dissolve. Not at all. And I think this is even clear from Alex's video. You know, he said really the biggest issue is that he wanted to invest XYZ dollars into it, and I just wasn't able to match him on that, right? I wasn't able to afford to invest that much money. And the biggest reason for that is kind of we chose two very different trajectories for life after high school, right? You know, he pursued YouTube full-time and really went at that hard, and he's been extremely successful in there, and I definitely applaud him for that. I actually have some different life goals, though. You know, at that time, I was at a community college, right, studying to get my associate's degree, and as anyone who's ever been to college or school knows, there's all kinds of unseen expenses that pop up, so I needed to pay for those. So I was actually working as well. Our business was not yet profitable at that time, even though we did have occasional payouts. It certainly wasn't matching the amount of money that we were putting into it, and certainly not the amount of time that we were putting into it. So I needed to pay for those expenses somehow, so I was also working. So I was a full-time student, typically taking between 15 and 18 credits per semester. I was working 25 to 30 hours a week, and then I had Emerald Scales, another 20 to 25 hours a week. So all of that really added up. So I didn't have a ton of extra money to just throw around and invest. Whereas Alex, he was really just grinding hard on YouTube, and he was, making a good amount through ad revenue and, all the other ways that you can make money on YouTube. And that was really his only other focus outside of the business that we had going on. And none of this is meant to bash Alex and say, oh, he didn't go to college. He's been extremely successful, and I'm proud of him. Like, he's done a really, really good job. I just have some different goals. I want to do research one day. I want to study animals on a scientific level. I've always been a fan of biology. It's interesting to me academically, and I enjoy academics. So I definitely want to make that kind of a part of my life and a part of the things that I do. So because of that, it meant I just didn't have as much money at that time and wasn't really at a place where I could invest as much as he can. And really, I think that's the biggest reason we dissolved, right? Because he wanted to invest all this money, and I just wasn't there because I was in a different financial situation. So no, I didn't steal anything. I didn't embezzle anything. I didn't betray anybody. I didn't steal any animals. Like, come on, take a chill pill. And the other big complaint I got from people is that I stole all the animals and I was stealing them from Alex, and oh my gosh, I was such a bad person. What are you even talking about? Alex and I both signed an agreement that says we think this is a fair way to split this. I took all the physical assets, he took all the online assets. We were an online business. The online assets are like the most important assets, right? You can always replace physical assets. You can't always replace online assets. You can't always make another good brand. So, that was an extremely valuable asset, and it was valuable to him. And it wasn't me saying, well, the only way I'm going to split up is if I get all the animals. I'm just going to leave you with the brand. No, that's what he wanted. The brand was his top goal. I mean, the other alternative would have been that we dissolve the brand, so the brand didn't even exist, and then we just split all the physical assets evenly, right? And I don't think anybody wanted that because we liked the brand that we had built. It was a good brand. And we didn't want to see that just disappear and never be used again. So we came up with an agreement that worked for both of us and allowed the brand to continue to live and exist on its own. So look, I get it. When there's something that's happening that everyone likes and then it breaks up or it no longer exists in the way it did before, everyone likes to find a perpetrator and a victim, right? They like to blame and they like to, put a halo over somebody else. But that's just not how it happened in this situation. Alex and I split because we just weren't, at the same platitude financially. And it wasn't because anyone did something horribly wrong or I cheated Alex. I'm not the perpetrator in this instance. I'm not saying I'm the victim. Alex did fine by me, right? I don't have any ill will towards him at all. And I don't think he has any ill will towards me. He said specifically he doesn't regret working with me. None of that stuff. Then the other big question I keep on getting is, are Alex and you still friends? And the short answer is yes. But no, I'm not going to give you any more information on it because that's just it. Our relationship is a personal one at this point, right? It's not at all tied to the business, and this channel is a channel that directly promotes a business. So me using, I'm friends with Alex, going into all the details of, what that dynamic is right now isn't fair. So no, I'm not going to do that. That's the same reason that he didn't name me in his video. Now, the majority of my subscribers already know who Alex is, so I don't see the point in not naming him. But no, I'm not going to go into any more details about what our relationship looks like at this point, because it doesn't really have anything to do with this video or this topic in general, except for the fact that it shows that we have no ill will towards each other. And that's definitely true. I wish nothing but the best for Alex and his channel and his business. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, or shoot me an email too if you want a more direct response. There's people out there saying that I will never talk about any of this because I'm too ashamed, and that's just not true at all. I'm happy to talk about any of it and all of it. So feel free to shoot me an email or leave a comment. Beyond that, I hope you enjoyed the gorgeous little white animals that we went over today. My name's Ethan, you're watching Radiant Reptilia, and I'll see you in the next video.